How's it going out there, good people? Welcome back to the House of Business Podcast 2.0. This is your host, Caleb Thompson, and this is a place where we give you the knowledge and the tools to execute your dreams and your visions. Hope everyone's having a great day out there today. You guys go and you like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Once again, I'd like to start these episodes off with gratitude. So I would like to thank everyone for tuning in to these messages, these episodes, and they are messages to me. But like I always say, man, if it's something in these episodes that you cannot use, try to share with either a colleague or try to share with someone that's in your network that could probably use it. You know, no one has all the answers. I don't have all the answers. You don't have all the answers. But, you know, and I can hear the same thing a million times. But, you know, something just clicks when a certain person says it. So maybe I'm that person that maybe you can drill something into someone's head and then they just finally get it when I say it. So, and maybe you're that same person to someone else. So, share this episode. This episode is going to be called The Language of Leadership. Once again, we are coming live from New York City as we always do. Your host, Caleb Thompson, the House of Business Podcast. We also have Cooking Up Business. So that is one of our stores. Times Square Gardens Restaurant Company mixed with the House of Business Podcast. It's kind of like a hybrid where we cook and we talk about business as well. We will be airing our second episode, March 9th, I believe. So March 9th, we will be airing our second episode of Cooking Up Business, which is a hybrid between Times Square Gardens Restaurant Company and the House of Business Podcast 2.0, where we cook nice dishes, cultural dishes, and we talk business. So you guys tune in on the Cooking Up Business show. That will air our second episode, will be March 9th. You guys tune into that. This episode right here is going to be the language of leadership. So the language of leadership. I'm going to try to keep this short and I'm going to try to keep it real quick, but just follow me here. I'm going to give you 3 talk points as I usually do. I'll give you 3 talk points just in case you want to write this down and just in case you want to use this for a case study or just in case you want to use this just to, just jot it down and go back and listen to it later or just see what you've written. So talk point number 1 is leadership begins with how I communicate. You know, I would like to say, you know, and this is something that I wrote down. These are 3 talk points that I've written down, but I would like to start off by saying, leadership starts with how you communicate, but leadership starts with how you communicate to yourself first. I cannot tell someone to have a good day. I cannot pump someone up or try to help them reach their fullest potential if I do not have it in me to talk to. If my inner dialogue is full of static, you know, if my inner dialogue does not align with it's not going to align with what I'm trying to portray. Like, I only could be fake for so long. So to be a true leader, your inner dialogue, you have to be a leader to yourself first. You have to tell yourself no. Sometimes you are your best accountability partner. So sometimes you're going to want to not go to the gym. You have to be your own leader. You have to tell yourself, hey man, you know, we made a decision to make sure that we were going to commit to this thing and we're going to do it whether you feel like it or not. So I did start this off and said this is the language of leadership, and leadership begins with how I communicate, but leadership first begins with how you communicate to yourself. The world is already going to beat you down. The world is already going to doubt you. The world and the people in it are already going to look you upside your head. No one's going to believe in you. The least you can do is believe in yourself. The least you can do is tell yourself how great you are to yourself. There's going to be some times on this entrepreneurial journey that no one's going to be around. It's just going to be you, your higher power, and the goal ahead of you. And that is the only thing that is going to exist. And then in that moment where those 3 things only exist, that is the place where you will have to be completely delusional and people will call you crazy. They may not understand the vision because it wasn't given to them. I wouldn't know how to make a Boeing 745. You know why? Because that vision wasn't given to me. It was given to the guy who created the plane. So while he's building that plane, I'm looking like, man, what is this guy building? But he knows exactly what he's building, what he's aiming for. So to me, he looks crazy and delusional. But to him, he understands exactly what he's trying to do. And that's one thing you have to understand. when you're on this journey and you have a vision, no one is going to understand you. If some people do understand you, they will walk with you for a certain time or a certain period, but there will always be an isolation period where it'll be you yourself developing your character, developing your skill set and your value. And in those moments, that is going to be the launch pad for greatness in those quiet moments, in those moments while you're by yourself. But leadership begins with how I communicate, but also how I communicate to myself. I understand that, my words set the tone for my team. You're going to need a team, but you're going to need a team. Now, I'm not talking about multiple personality disorder, but what I am saying, you as being an entrepreneur, what's going to happen. You're going to have to wear every hat there is in the company. You're going to have to be the marketer. You're going to have to be the bookkeeper. You're going to have to be the customer service rep. When you first start off, you are not going to have the support that that you would like to have, especially if you're a first-time entrepreneur in your family. You first have to deal with family, some coming from a certain type of background. Some of those family members, they really just don't support you. Now, I'm not saying this is every family dynamic, but it's coming from a toxic family dynamic when everyone lives in one way and you want to break out of that mold. 9 times out of 10, your family will probably be your first haters. You know what I mean? Your families and your closest friends will probably be your first haters because you are growing out of that circle. You are growing out of that cycle. You are growing out of that dynamic or familiarity with those group of people. So you guys were on the same level for so long, but if anyone refuses to grow with you, they will either end up growing with you, they will either end up trying to pull you back, or they will either end up hating you. If they can't pull you back, they'll end up hating you. So you just have to understand that whatever you want to do, you need to do it, but your words set the tone for your team. So when you do get to a point where you do have a team and a team of individuals, and I like to tell people this, this is one thing I really like to tell individuals, being an entrepreneur, you cannot be insecure. Being a boss or being a CEO, you cannot be insecure. You have to develop the skill set of leading individuals that are they're way more competent than you in a lot of areas. A lot of areas in business, you cannot be the best in every area of business. So with you being the visionary, or being the CEO of a company, or being the boss of a company, or being someone who is the leader, you have to learn how to lead people that are just way more competent than you in a lot of areas. You have to start the company off probably wearing all the hats, but eventually there's going to be someone who's going to be a lot more competent and a lot more intelligent and have a lot more experience in the area, and you're going to need that person. You cannot become insecure and sabotage the growth of the company, or wait till you find someone who has that person's same level of skill and intellect, but as long as they bow down to you, you know what I mean, then you'll hire them. You're oppressing a person while you need them to work for you, and that's not how these things work. You have to allow people to live out their full potential in order to grow the business. You have to put your feelings aside. You have to put your insecurity aside, and you got to say, for the greater good or for the next generation of my family, for the greater good or for the scaling of this company, I have to put aside my insecurity. I have to put and really, you shouldn't have any insecurity. All those days when no one believed in you, all those days where no one supported you, that should have milked out all the insecurity out of you. You know what I mean? You should be secure enough in your position and who you are before you get to the point. Now, I'm talking about going through the process. Now, this is the true entrepreneurial process. I'm not talking about taking the elevator, but don't get me wrong. Now, no, not every entrepreneur has to have a rags to riches story, but everyone has their own process that they have to go through. But there are some things that you go through starting from the bottom and working your way going through the process that you're not going to learn with just a handout. See, my children will never have to go through some of the turmoil I've went through, but they will have their own processes on how to help them to develop discipline and leadership, how to help them to develop certain character traits that are worthy of being in a position of leadership. So but they're not going to have to start it from where I started from, but they will have their own process and tasks to do the same thing. But watch your words, because the words set the tone for your team. People listen very closely to what you say. Your team, I'm not saying they're children, but when you think they're not paying attention, they're paying attention. But I choose clarity over confusion when given direction. I choose clarity over confusion when given direction, man. What helped me a lot when I started my entrepreneurial journey is that it's being a worker. It's not like I just woke up one day and it just all happened overnight. It's the little seeds that were planted, but I really learned about let me put it like this. Entrepreneurship is like this. It's like you being a first-time father. Being a first-time father, you have no blueprint, but the only blueprint that's going to teach you how to be a good leader is when you worked at jobs and you seen how these leaders, they favored certain people. They didn't pay you according to your value or your skill set, and those are things that you really hated, but you maybe need to stay at that job. So now the ball is in your court. What are you going to do? Are you going to treat people the way that these people treated you that you really didn't agree with? Or now it's your time. Now the ball is in your court. Are you going to change some things? Now that you have the power to change things, are you going to change some things? When people come to work, you want them to feel important. When people come to work, you want them to feel like they're coming to work for a purpose. You don't want them to feel like they're coming to work and you're going to oppress them so they can pay their bills. And if they don't do good and this and that, you want people to come to work and feel like I belong here. And that's how you create different company cultures. We'll talk about company culture another time and how you shape and mold and cultivate and create a company culture according to your standard, and your standard has to do with your characteristics. So every company that you see a company with toxic company culture is stemmed down from leadership. So you know what I mean? So we'll talk about that some other time, but choose clarity over confusion. I know some individuals that will keep confusion. They won't give clear direction. They will keep confusion so that they could stay in power. Sometimes when people have a clear direction on what to do, they can outdo the job better than you. And that's moving the business forward, moving things forward. So I know individuals that gatekeep, they use their position to gatekeep they'll tell someone to do something, but they won't tell them exactly what to do. And then when they do it, then they'll tell them, oh man, you wasn't supposed to do it like this. You're supposed to do it like that. And you're thinking like, man, I just did exactly what you told me to do and just tried to emphasize over whatever else I was supposed to do. And now you're telling me wrong. So people will not give you full thorough details on how to accomplish a task where you can perform at like peak performance, for the simple fact that it keeps them in position and keeps them in a position where they can critique you on something that they did not give you the necessary tools to make sure that you can execute at the highest level. You know what I mean? So when you are a true leader, what you need to do is it looks like it means that you need to make sure that you give people all the tools, information, details, and everything necessary so that they can perform at a high level and they can execute the task flawlessly or just according to what they need to do. But you want to make sure that your hands is clean. You want to make sure that I sent them all the documents. I gave them everything that they needed. I gave them all the contacts. I gave them all the resources and the sources that they needed for research. I gave you everything that you needed to make sure that you can succeed. And then if you mess up or if you drop the ball, then maybe I can come in and critique, some things, and maybe I can kind of talk to you about some things. But I know some people that chose confusion over clarity for the simple fact that they know that confusion will keep them in a place of position. Because if they knew exactly what to do and how to do it, they were going to perform the job at such a level that it would take the congratulation or the eyes off of the manager and put it on just a regular crew member that was just has a good work ethic. And that's how people stay in position and gatekeep. That really don't want to put the work in, you know what I mean? Really don't want to put the work in. They do not lead with clarity. People who really don't want to put the work in or really increase their value or really don't want to feel challenged, they will keep confusion in the workplace to make sure that they stay in that place, that position, all the while hurting the business that they don't own. They don't own the business. They haven't built the business from scratch, but they get in these positions and they slow the growth and the scaling of a company because you just put someone in that position who doesn't want to grow. They got their company, they're making $100,000 a year and they want to stay there. So But I'll communicate expectations clearly so there's no guesswork. So, and this is one thing why I'm telling you this. You do not communicate expectations clearly so there's no guesswork, but you do not provide everything that is needed so that the individual can give you your desired result. If I'm expecting for you to perform at a certain level, if I'm expecting you to execute this task in a certain manner, in a certain time, you know, and you don't do that, I don't want it to fall back on me. There's no reason it should fall back on me. Well, you told me to do this, but you know, you just gave me limited. Now, I'm not saying that you don't allow your team to you grow, or whoever is under you, that you don't allow them to grow and kind of use their brain and be creative. I'm not saying you have to give them everything all the time, but you do want to make sure that you do as much as you can do as a person that's in leadership to make sure that, because ultimately you're working at, if you are not the CEO or the owner of the company, you are working at a company to fulfill another person's vision, no matter how bad that sounds. Someone said, man, that sounds bad. It just sounds like I'm a worker. Some people's purpose in life is to bring forth the vision of other people and to get paid for it. So it's not like you're just working with no money or just in slavery. Sometimes you have to work at a job to develop the skill sets and to get the experience you need before you go off on your own and become an entrepreneur. But until then, your job is to use that job, use the skill set that you've gained, use the experience and everything that you gain to be able to put in your tool bag. So once you get fired from the job out of nowhere, you have enough to either go look for another high-paying job with the experience and the value that you gain from that job and that experience, or you have enough in your tool bag to start your own company. Maybe you're thinking you can start your own company and start from scratch. So that is the only reason why you work jobs. The only reason why you work a job is not for you to get acquainted with the job, and once you lose the job, then you're feeling down and, oh, I hate that this happened. The only reason you are in, I don't care if you're at Pizza Hut, if you're at Pizza Hut, McDonald's, if you are at a Fortune 500 company, the only reason you are working for someone else is to train yourself so that you can work for yourself, or to train yourself to move for character development, for experience. It's just a learning experience for you to go to the next level and gain value. It's not for you to sit here and oh man, I lost this job. Oh, I lost this job. The job is not there to control you or to feed you. The job is a place where you exchange your time and your value for money. And while you're trading your time and your value for money, at that same time, they're giving you free life skills training on how to operate your own company, or how to operate and how to have certain interactions that can help you with your own company. You wouldn't know how to have emotional intelligence when you're dealing with a rowdy customer, and know how to, unless you were ever put in that situation. You can say you're the most patient. You're the most patient person in the world. You can say that all you want to in your application, but you do need a scenario, or something needs to happen where you can perform, or where you can practice your emotional intelligence in that type of situation. And once you do go through that situation, it helps you to put more experience in your tool bag so you can know how to deal with that, or teach other employees that you have to train how to deal with certain situations. So that's the only reason you're working the job. The only reason you're working the job is to gain experience from it. It's not to work and get the money and then do the same thing over and over and over. It's for you to work, pay attention, observe, break down every situation and put it in your tool bag. Use it for life skills. Use it for when you start your own company or your own business, or even use it to solve situations as you move up in the company. But it's never for you to just go to work and come home. That's not why you have a job. But anyways, I make sure my message aligns with the vision I'm building. Yeah, I tell people this all the time. You have to make sure that the message that you're giving to your teammates aligns with the vision you're trying to build. I cannot sit here on a 40-minute rant about motorcycles we're building spaceships. We're building spaceships, and I'm telling you, man, you got to have that motorcycle. It's got to run up to 190. We want a motorcycle that's going to run up to 190 miles per hour. We need so much horsepower. And then the whole time we're building spaceships. We're trying to come up with the technology. We're trying to utilize the technology available to make sure that we can create a spaceship that can, So what I'm saying is this. Whatever you tell your team, it has to work towards the trajectory of what you're trying to build. You cannot, if you want to start team development in your sales area, you don't need to go to sales and start to talk to them, start to discuss things with them about something from a finance. You don't need to sit there with have an hour meeting about finance with your sales department. I mean, like finance, kind of like your CPA, your bookkeeper or your, your chief financial officer and things like that. You need to have those type of discussions with those individuals. You don't need to have a numbers meeting with the guys who are, I'm just saying sales as in the person just executing with the target market. They're tackling the target market. They're making the sales. You need to talk to them about sales strategies and things of that sort. And then maybe at the end of the quarter, you can let them know, bring in the numbers of how much they sold, where we were last year and how much the percentage increased from last quarter or something like that. You bring the numbers in. But as far as the numbers, as in everyday numbers, profit and loss statements and things of that sort, you need to keep that with the CFO. You need to keep those type of discussions with finance. Not saying that there isn't a hybrid of cross training when it comes to finance and sales, you know what I mean? But it all works together. Like marketing and salesmen is kind of hand in hand thing that needs to work together in order to make sure that marketing has to understand the target market and the niche of your services or your products, and then those marketers have to correlate with the salespeople to give them the information that they need, as much information as possible to be able to know the description of the product and learn the product in and out so that they can sell it better. If you know what you're talking about, then people will be more likely to buy the product. If I'm trying to sell you a pen, but I don't know exactly what material it is, the benefit it has, and I'm just like, man, I just have a pen. But that's what marketing does. When marketing understands the product, they understand how to market the product to a certain demographic, to a certain psychographic group. And what they do is they correlate with sales with that description of the product and give them as much information as possible to sell that product. So it works hand in hand. So anyways, point number 2, if you're just now tuning in, this is the House of Business Podcast 2.0. This is your host, Caleb Thompson. This is the place where we give you the knowledge and the tools to execute your dreams and visions. We are coming live from New York City, as we always do, every Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This message is a day late, but you wouldn't have known unless I just told you that. But welcome, man. Share this, like, share, and subscribe to this. This is a place where we just give you free information, man. If you are an upcoming entrepreneur, maybe you're not in entrepreneurship and you just want to learn how to start, or you want to know what to do to get started, this is what this podcast is for. It's for the entrepreneur wannabes that will step into the shoes as the entrepreneurs. And maybe you are an entrepreneur, and maybe you're a seasoned vet in the game, and maybe there's something that you missed out on, and maybe just one sentence or one line can help shape up an area of your life. So no one knows it all. All I'm doing is sharing my experience and sharing my knowledge, and hopefully someone can take it and they could pass it along, or they do your own research as well. Do your own research, have your own experiences, and then share that as well, so that your team can reach their fullest potential. But I'll give you 3 talk points here. First talk point was leadership begins with how I communicate. So we went over that. Number 2 is I lead with influence, not authority. I lead with influence, not authority. I'm going to tell you something. You cannot tell someone, do as I say, but don't do as I do. That is the worst form of leadership that you could ever think of. Let's I'm going to tell you, and why people use that form of leadership is because they leverage it with cash. You know what I mean? Don't do what I do what I say, because I pay you to do what I say. Okay, that's good. But if you're trying to build employees, that's different. But if you are trying to build just regular 9 to 5 employees, but if you are trying to build employees that will look at your business as a second home and will look at their colleagues as a second family because they love it there, man. They love it there, man. You're gonna be at work probably half of your life. Besides being at home with your family. So work is basically your second family. You're gonna, sometimes, man, especially being an entrepreneur, you're going to be at work more that you're probably at home with your family trying to develop, trying to generate capital and get revenue to pass down to the next generation. So that is just basically your second home and your second family. Anyways, so you at least want to develop a business or a company culture when people come in, they know their position, they know what they have to do, and they do it with purpose. You know what I mean? They love being there and they're always valued. That's going to make people work for you for 30 years and retire from your company. That's going to make, if you treat your employees, let me put it like this. You build the employees build the business, and the business builds families. You know, it builds families. It builds, the next generation. So you as a leader, you take your time to develop pour into your employees, let them know that you appreciate what they do. I can give someone $5, but if they're not grateful, I bet I can bet you they will never get another $5 from me, unless I just feel like this is something that they need. I'm just doing it out the kindness of my heart. But especially a family member or something like that. If I'm helping you, if I give you $2,000, you never tell me thank you. You act like you're entitled to it. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry about getting anything else from me. But the more that you show your appreciation, people will be willing to do more for you. If I just picked up some trash and some random person walked by, and I just did it out of the kindness of my heart, and some random person walked by and was like, man, that's cool that you thought to, get it, and it could not even be their trash, but just by that small piece, little minuscule, you would think there was a minuscule comment of encouragement would make me want to go around and pick up trash on the whole block. It would just motivates you when someone sees something that you're doing, they can appreciate it. And that's and how the marketplace is now. Now we're starting to come up on a time where you have more leaders that's going to pour into their. They don't lead from a authoritative. Let's say type of leadership. There's different types of leadership, but I lead with influence. Influence is basically you being authentic in who you truly are. You're not putting on a mask. You're being authentic in who you truly are, man. Your faults, your goods, your bads, and things of that sort. But you are still being there. You're being a human being. You don't have it all together, but at the same time, man, you're showing love, compassion. You can understand. You have emotional intelligence, but you understand certain things, and people see those type of qualities in you, and people will be willing to work for you when you can appreciate them coming to work, and you can appreciate. And anybody could say, man, I don't have time to appreciate you. I pay you to work here, and you do what I tell you to do, and I pay you and you go home. Yeah, that's cool. But you know what I mean? That's if you want to just run through employees just to bring your vision to pass, unless you want to start to create people who are willing to retire from your company and would like to work there. And then even if they're not there, they would still like to be some type of asset or be some type of help to you in any other area that you need, even though they don't work at that company, just because of how good you treated them, even if they did move on. So you want to start to create relationships with longevity. You don't want to just start, get him out of here. He's doing this and that, you know what I mean? Didn't I tell you, you know what I mean? So now I'm not saying that to be soft, but what I am saying is, man, treat your employees with some respect. The employees you build the employees, help them reach their full potential. They use that to build a business, and the business is what builds your family or your next generation. So, but I focus on inspiring action rather than demanding it. I focus on that. I also listen intentionally before I respond. Speak in a way that builds trust, not fear. That's one big thing, man. You don't want to gain respect by fear. Now, what I mean by this, it's easier for someone to do something for you and do it wholeheartedly and sincerely, and do it without you having to ask from their heart if they trust that you're going to take care of them. Yeah, you don't want. I hate to say it like that. I'm not going to put it like that. I'm not going to put it in a relationship wise, but you don't want people to do things. The people who do things for you out of fear, those are people you will not gain their loyalty. As soon as they have a chance, they will backstab you, or they will put you in a situation situation or hurt you or take you out of here as soon as they have an opening. So you can't always lead with fear, but you have to have a balance. There's always a time for you to be bold and to be stern, but at the same time, you cannot lead with fear, for the simple fact that when people fear you, they may be scared of you, but they're always going to be looking for a way to get you out of that place, you know what I mean? So that the fear could subside. Maybe someone else wants to come in and wants to be the alpha male and take you out, man. Maybe someone's going to stand up and say, man, I'm not scared of you anymore. You know what I mean? You've been mistreating me this whole time. And some people get fed up with that and they would take you out. And then also people will attack you if they feel like you're too nice. So have some type of balance where you know how to turn the switch on and off, but do it intentionally with having the best intention towards your employees and building the company, and also using that company to build communities and neighborhoods as well, and your own family for the next generation. I'm real big into generations, moving those assets to the next generation so they won't have to start off from where we started. So if you hear me repeat that, it's because I'm real big on it. But I speak in a way that builds trust, not fear. I use encouragement to bring the best out in others. I use encouragement to bring the best out in others. And that's really hard coming from a leader. Like I said, a lot of times you will have to have good inner dialogue without having to depend on someone else, because you go to work, you go around your family, people are going to beat you down just for no reason at all. You go around your family, you know what I mean? People are making slight comments. They're halfway hating on you. You know what I mean? They want to talk about your weight. They want to talk about what you wore. They're just finding any kind of way to break you down and make themselves feel better. And then you go out here in the world, people who you don't know, who have you, they don't owe you any loyalty or anything else. So the best you can do is make sure that your inner dialogue, when you're talking to yourself, you want to say that, okay, yeah, today was a rough day, but guess what, Caleb, man, we made it through the day. Look, guess what, man, we're still drinking hot coffee. Guess what? You know what I'm saying? We can, if I wanted to run around my house and hit 50 jumping jacks in the backflip, you know what I mean? I can do that. We have a roof over our heads. So, man, sometimes when I go through some of the roughest days, man, I just look around and I say, you know what? Even though I may not have the I may not be generating the capital that I want, but I tell you what, I don't have to leave my house wrinkled. At least I earn, you tell them from the South, but at least I have an iron where, I don't have to leave my house wrinkled. So you got to think of the little things, man, that really give you, to really help you to bring you back to life, because life is going to beat you down. You have to think of some little things, man. Sometimes, things may not go the way that I want them to go, but at least I can listen to some music. I can listen to some music, get in my own vibe, man. You know what I mean, man? Get to feeling good in my own energy. So, man, there's certain things that you can use to bring you back to life. Maybe it's music, maybe it's to watching a show, maybe it's whatever it is, man. So sometimes you do need those breaks. You need to be grateful. Being grateful is the number one tool to speed up manifestation. Anyways, anything that you want to manifest in this life, you have to believe you already have it, and you have to already thank the universe or God that it's already yours. You have to vibrate as if you already have it. So once you want it, just say, once you want it, you have to understand exactly what it is to get on that level with it. You can say you want to be a firefighter all day, but if you don't understand what a firefighter is, you don't understand the response. You have to do the research. And as you do the research and you truly understand in depth what you want that is what aligns your energy to that certain thing. If I say I want a vehicle and I want a certain type of vehicle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to understand exactly the year, the model, the make, exactly what that vehicle is, what it looks like. And then that helps my visualization for manifestation. I know exactly, and that puts me in alignment with that energy. So, that's the same thing you have to do with your business, company, looking for a certain type of spouse, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, man. You have to be specific. But, yeah, so, man, use encouragement to bring the best out in others. Number 3, my tone, presence, and consistency, it matters. So your tone, the way that you speak to people, what tone you speak to individuals in, your presence and your consistency matters. But I stay calm and composed, especially under pressure. That's one skill that you're going to have to learn how to use. Now, being calm under pressure doesn't mean having a poker face. Someone always told me this. They said, patience doesn't mean you're forced to wait. Being patient means that you are waiting with a good attitude. So sometimes you can say, man, I'm being patient, but the truth is, you just have to wait just because of it's just certain things in life you can't go into a pizza place and order a pizza and then they're telling you it's going to be 15 minutes and you're sitting there like, yeah, I'm just going to be patient. That's not being patient. You're going to have to wait. You can't speed up the process. That you don't get any points for that. You don't get any points. Being patient is even after it goes over 15 minutes and you're still waiting with a good attitude. That's being patient from that point on. So some things are just some things you don't get points for. That's not patience. That's not utilizing patience or exercising patience. And the truth is, you don't even have to wait there. You can go out in the car, listen to music. You can walk up the streets. Other things that you can do that don't require for you to stay there. But that's not patience. So. But being calm and composed under pressure doesn't mean put on a poker face and you're just trying to bottle up and stop yourself from having an outburst. That's not what that is. Now, you may have to wrestle with that emotion until you can overcome it when you're first starting to, try to operate calmly under pressure. But when it comes to a point, it starts with you wrestling with that emotion until you can overcome that emotion to the point where you have to truly center yourself or shift your energy or your focus to something else besides the problem that gives you peace and gives you solace in those moments where you can still stay composed. Think of something else. I was going to say something else, so I can't say that. So, but I make sure that my body language matches my message. So your body language has to match your message as well, or that will be the poker face. People can tell that. People can tell by your body language. There's many classes you have to take in certain, whatever, whether you work for the government, you work for, you're a psychologist. There's some things they tell you is about body language. Body language is a big skill that you have to have. It's something that is vital and a necessity as an entrepreneur as well, even though you don't work in those certain type of fields. But I communicate consistently so my team knows what to expect. Yeah, you have to continue to consistently remind your team of the vision, but you have to consistently know where you're going, because you can only take someone so far. If you stop growing, you can only take someone so far. It's just like this now. You know why I always have to grow? Because I have a podcast and I also have a company as well. So if I'm coming on here and I'm regurgitating the same message, I'm regurgitating the same information every time, same information just with a different title, you know what that does? People are going to stop listening. So when I get off of here, I have to think of other subjects and other things that I really need to research, but I'm just not researching for the podcast. I'm researching it because it's helping me to get to the point that I need to get to as well. So if I don't have a business in healthcare, now we do have medical supplies, but if I'm not in healthcare, you're never going to hear me come on the House of Business Podcast 2.0 and talk about healthcare, because I don't know anything about healthcare, and none of my companies operate in that field. Now, what I will do is I will get someone on the show whose profession is in healthcare. If we wanted to talk about healthcare, I will get a professional who's a professional whose profession and skill set and their experience so how many ever years is in healthcare, and I will let them explain it to you. But I'm not just going to jump into certain situations and certain aspects of business just to learn something, just to, like I said, regurgitate and just make you think I know what I'm talking. No, we're going to get a professional in here. But what I do know, what I experience, and what I have research that help me to get the ball rolling, help me to move the needle forward in my own personal life and the companies I own. I'm just giving you that experience here. But that's one thing that you need to know. But your body language has to match your message. I communicate consistently so my team knows what to expect, and I hold myself accountable to the same standards I set for them. So, like I said, man, you can't tell them, man, just because I pay you, you do what I say and not what I do. You have to set an example, you know what I mean? Or that just crushes the company culture. Because there's going to come a point in time where you're going to tell somebody, hey, man, you shouldn't be drinking at your desk. And then they may have a bad day and say, well, you're doing it. you're drinking at your desk. You know what I mean? You say, well, I'm the boss. You know what I mean? I'll pay you, but it really doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? If you're openly drinking at your desk, or people are catching you doing certain things in a place, you know what I mean? You at least have to have enough wisdom to leave and go home, or go to your podcast studio, go somewhere else to have a drink and brush your teeth or something before you come back to work and still be composed. You have to at least find some kind of way. And I'm not telling you to do this, but I'm saying if you are in a place of leadership, there are certain things you have to use wisdom in order to, but 10 times out of 10, just be accountable. I know that we're all human beings and we're all learning as we grow. Hopefully you can get those things under control before you have to, run a company. Even while running a company, that doesn't mean that it puts more pressure on you. So I know that we're all human. I'm not saying you're going to be, you're just going to be flying around the office sprinkling fairy dust everywhere. So, but what I am saying is that make sure that whatever actions that you use wisdom when being a leader. Everyone doesn't deserve to be in your circle that works with you. Everyone that works for you or works with you doesn't deserve certain access to certain areas of your life where you can discuss those certain things with that individual. So make sure that you grow a solid team around you, people that you can trust, people that you can discuss certain things with that may be intimate if you don't have a significant other. And some things you can't tell you just can't tell your significant other, not in that way, but when it has to do with business. When you leave work and you come home, your spouse don't want to hear about work all day. You know what I mean? They've probably been at work, or they've probably been with the kids or anything else. So you want to kind of, you need someone to discuss work matters with, and those pressures with as well. So, so just get you a cool, tight little circle, but hold yourself accountable. That's all discipline is, man. Discipline is that, man, once I commit to something, even though I don't feel like doing it, I'm going to hold myself accountable. I'm going to discipline myself to still execute the matter at hand, or the commitment that I've laid upon myself before, way after the feeling is gone. I was pumped up when I said I was going to do it, but now that feeling's gone, I'm not pumped up anymore, but I still have to be committed and discipline myself to make sure I do that. So this is the House of Business Podcast 2.0. It's your host, Caleb Thompson, coming live from New York City. This is a place for giving the knowledge and tools to execute your dreams and visions. This episode was called The Language of Leadership. You guys tune back in next Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll see you then. Peace.